dogs, and they're playing poker.
Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and scammers are back in the news. God, what now? And how do you protect yourself this time? Today, we'll talk about protecting your home and your credit. Plus, we'll answer a question from one stacker who thought, I'd better call Saul-Sehy and OG. And it's all about taxes. Of course, we'll share a TikTok minute that may explain why you're not wealthy. And, of course, I'll share some trivia.
Oh, and by the way, I fixed your trivia.
It needed fixing?
Yeah, no, it's better. It's good.
Oh, well, thanks, Joe. And now, two guys who just yesterday tried to write off Taco Tuesday as a business expense. It's Joe and OG.
Well, while I did fix your trivia, Doug, that did not happen. Although, OG, how great would it be if we could have written off Taco Tuesday?
Why couldn't you?
Wait, you can't write off Taco Tuesday?
It's not a stretch.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Because that third margarita always goes down better at lunch when it's a tax write-off. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Tax Myths for the Win podcast.
It's a write-off.
I am Joe Saul-Sehy, and the tax man cometh. Mr. OG is here. How are you, dude?
Well, I'm not the tax man, but yeah,
no.
It is approaching. What do you make of the people who like to file their taxes on like January 9th? Do you feel like that's a little early? Like you're going to miss something, right? Like
you're going to back off, overachiever.
Well, it's not overachieving. I guess if you know you have all your stuff, but
only people who do that are the ones who know they're getting a refund. I do it all the time.
Get a refund, but you don't get your W-2 until the end of the month. You don't get your tax, your mortgage statement and all that sort of stuff.
I wait till I have all that stuff.
Grasping at straws. I don't know.
Maybe. Do you know people that just file without that and then they refile? Like, how do they do it if they don't have any of that stuff?
That's what I mean. I don't know.
Who are these people? Who are these strange people?
Don't be overachievers.
Legends out there.
And if you're getting a big refund, fix your withholdings. God dang it.
Don't yell at me, man.
Well, now that you get some decent interest on those high yield savings accounts, cha-ching on that 4.5%.
You're not getting 4.5 anymore.
I did that on TV once, by the way. I made the mistake, and you don't do this when you're a TV personality for a major financial company. Do not quote a rate of return. I accidentally said once, OG, I was like,
I guarantee 12%.
At the time, money markets were paying like 5%. And the big firm I was with, they're like, yeah, ours only pays 4.6. And we got like 28 phone calls about why. And I just rounded. So, yeah, bad prop. Do not do that. Do not do that. Anyway, we got a great show about other things that you probably should do. You probably need to pay a little bit of attention, OG, because scammers are always out there. Mm-hmm. And a new story that I found at Kiplinger talks all about a scam that, man, could cost you a lot. Very, very, very scary scam involving your home. How about you go to your house and you don't own it anymore?
Oh, that's a sporty way.
Yeah, not very good there. So how do you make sure that's not you? And by the way, some good processes either way, even if you're not being scammed. I think you can put some great processes in action that helps you manage money better and keep scammers at bay. We're going to talk about that. OG, we're going to question OG on taxes today. What if you own property in different states? Like, how do you file the different state income taxes? We're going to see if OG can get that one right. And of course, we rewrote Doug's trivia today. So it's a bundle of fun. But the bundle of fun always begins with some companies that made sure that they can help us keep the lights on so that you don't have to pay for this goodness. Let's hear from them and then into our headline.
Hello, darlings. And now it's time for your favorite part of the show, our Stacking Benjamin's headlines.
Hey, guys, since Joe took it upon himself to fix my trivia, I think I'm going to step in with headlines. Just this morning, breaking news, population growth dropping, babies are at fault.
Yeah, no. Well, that would be true if that were
it's got to be their fault.
a true headline.
They're not growing fast enough.
What's happening to the show, OG? What's going on here?
Too many in a week, I think. Everybody's a little punch drunk.
Let's do this headline instead from Kiplinger. Very, very disturbing. How to Protect Your Home from Deed Theft, written by Donna LaValle. Donna writes, have you seen scary ads for deed theft or home title fraud protection? They often claim that this type of crime in which thieves transfer a home title themselves is soaring, but there's no clear evidence that that's true. So there's a good thing, nor is there a good reason to sell out for a service that protects your home's title, since you can do much or all this monitoring on your own for free. The scam, OG, do you like how in the open I got you guys on the scam? This type of scam happening all the time. Same thing they're telling us on these TV ads. Don't buy it. Deed theft is a real issue. Is it a growing problem? Hard to determine. The FBI collects broad data on real estate fraud without reporting specifically on the type of fraud. Real estate fraud can encompass more than title forgery, such as when borrowers misstate their ability to purchase property or renters are cheated out of a security deposit. What's clear is this, though, real estate fraud in general is on the rise. Here are the things that a criminal can do with your deed or your home title. Number one, they can illegally rent out your property. If you guys heard about this besides in the news, I've definitely seen in online groups, people asking, hey, I went to collect rent for my renter and somebody said they already paid the rent. This person was showing up for like 4 months in a row, collecting rent from a renter who, unbeknownst to the landlord, was paying the wrong person.
Who shows up to collect rent? Like, what is that?
That was my first thought.
1947 called. They would like their money transactions back.
Yeah, I only take cash.
Yeah. Right.
Ugh. And it's been 4 months. You just let them slide. Like, I'm sure they're good for it.
Right.
Like you would find that out on the 5th. How do you let that go past the 6th?
Opening up home equity lines of credit, refinancing a mortgage on a house that they don't own, sell the house to a legitimate buyer and pocket the profit. Common approach for unoccupied vacation homes or rental properties.
I have heard about that.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't heard it happening to anyone other than on the news, or not even on the news, more like this happened to this one person this one time.
Well, this is the thing on that 4-month story. This is the problem. Most of the time when I hear about this, OG, it's because people aren't paying attention to the monthly bills. They're not paying attention to the bottom line. They're like, okay, well, I got to do that, but I'm going to go ahead and go without a property manager, number one. And number two, I know they didn't pay, or I have it set up where they pay automatically, but I don't check the account to see if the person actually paid. And a few months go by and I go, wait a minute, I'm not getting that thing. I actually have a relative who had another relative perpetrate a fraud on them, wasn't used to checking their bank account, checked 3 months later and went, what happened to $36,000 of my money? Where did it go? And it turned out another relative had a copy of the check and it has the routing number right on the bottom of the check. Yeah. And a relative had stolen $36,000. Borrowed.
Temporarily.
Yes.
With all intents to pay it back.
It was pretty hilarious when the person was approached, by the way. It was all just a big mistake, OG.
I was wondering how I got $36,000 extra in my account, but rather than investigating it and also realizing I was the one who put it there, I just spent it.
No, listen to this. This was the reasoning. Mm-hmm. We both bank at the same bank.
Yes.
I needed $36,000 out of my account for XYZ. I don't remember what the reason was. And the bank teller must have messed it up.
Oh my gosh. What a jackass bank teller.
Like, really? The bank teller messed it up. Yeah. And then what's weird is you never saw any action in your own bank account at all. You happen to have this $36,000 that is, I don't know. And then, by the way,
obviously all BS.
Then, by the way, I'm going to pay it back every month. Every month, I'm just going to make payments to pay this back. Made one payment. One.
All 36,000?
No, not even
plus interest.
Not even close. Like $10, right? Yeah. I'm going to pay you back on a monthly basis. I'm going to pay $10 a month until I get paid off. Made one payment, hasn't made a payment again.
Yeah.
I'm going to be your accountability buddy on this and bring us back to the headline and why you brought this up in the first place. How do we protect ourselves against fraud?
Yeah. Number one, don't buy this fraud protection plans that they're offering on TV, because as the author here, Donna, says, not a thing, right? Do not buy fraud protection insurance. But what you can do, and I love what she brings up.
So fraud protection insurance is a fraud?
Is a fraud.
That's fantastic. I love that.
That is it. The whole headline I had you read about fraud was a fraud.
I might buy it just to support that kind of ingeniousness.
But number one, pay attention to incoming bills. I mean, all these things that we talked about, my one relative that got scammed had that happen. The person we talked about that wasn't collecting rent, somebody else was collecting the rent. They didn't check the money coming in for a few months. Pay attention to incoming bills. This, guys, is why I like Cheryl and my weekly, another reason why I like our weekly money meeting, because all we do is we look through the checkbook and see all the things that came in and out. Or if you use a credit card like OG, I know you guys do in your family, weekly, just open up the credit card app and then dive into how did we spend money last week? Then we have a very quick talk about how we're going to spend money next week. But if you're paying attention to the incoming bills, you're going to make sure, because this is what happens. They either change the mortgage bill, right? They change the tax bill. They change the water bill. Sometimes these things, which are often used to prove who you are, a thief will divert those. Then all of a sudden you're like, well, wait a minute. How come I haven't got my water bill? Well, that's because a thief just changed over that bill so they can begin claiming that they own this property.
Interesting. So before you and Cheryl sit down and look through the checkbook, do you get in a time machine back to 1987 to look through your check register?
You know what's funny is I literally, you saw me do this with my hand.
He calls the bank and asks when he's going to get the canceled checks back.
Yeah.
I need to balance my checkbook. I haven't received this month's checks.
Oh my God.
It so annoys me. It's so annoys
I would
me.
venture to say 60% of the audience doesn't know that was a thing.
Ever.
Think about the fraud. Think about the fraud opportunities that would exist if you literally A, had to write checks still, or B, you literally got them all mailed back to you like they used to.
When my dad died and my mom took over all the banking, my sister and I had to tell her that online banking was what you needed to do. She's like, no, I'm going to write checks because there's less fraud. We're like, no, Mom, there's more fraud.
Yeah. My mom gets a disability check, or used to, I think now because she's on Social Security, she doesn't.
Disability.
But I remember, I mean, this was recent, within the last 2 or 3 years, where she said, I have to run to the bank and cash my check. And I was like, wait, hold on. What? That's not a thing anymore. Like, you have to get cash from the bank. Is that what you mean? She's like, no, I've got all these checks. And I'm like, what do you mean you have all these checks? She's like, well, when I get my disability checks, I just let them pile up for a couple, 3, 6 months. And then I take them all to the bank and deposit them at one time. I'm like, why don't you just have them electronically deposited? And she's like, it seems like too much hassle. Like, yeah, but driving your ass to the bank, right. Like, what are you talking about?
And not having use of that money for that long? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you can lose it, obviously, all that sort of stuff. But you have to go through it. The more that you make things electronic, and this is why part of the reason why spending goes up, and part of the reason why is like that convenience factor, like the proverbial $100 bill that's in your wallet that never gets spent because you can't break the 100. You're like, I can't break that. That's too big a bill. When you've got a credit card or a debit card in your pocket, you can just beep, beep, beep. And Apple Pay now makes a fun noise. Ding. Like, oh, I did something good. But ding. Like I got a new pair of shoes. But ding. If it just went, like you would be like, oh God, I probably shouldn't be doing this that often. But instead they make it sound really nice. I remember watching a video one time about how the BMW sound engineers had to make the sound for put your seatbelt on annoying, but pleasant. Because they had to make it like you needed to, like, I need to do this, but it couldn't be like, that wouldn't be in keeping with the luxury of BMW. So it's ba-ling, ba-ling, or whatever the sound is to like put your seatbelt on. So they think about this sort of stuff, but they make it easy for you to spend money. And if you're not paying attention to it, American Express, I'm sure a lot of credit cards do this, send out an annual statement. Here's your annual spending. If you want your breath taken away, get one of those. Download that little puppy at the end of a year. I noticed there was like a bunch of Venmo charges. I mean, I think we spent $7,000 in Venmo last year. I was like, what the heck? That's just moving money between people. You know what I mean? I'm like, what are we doing? And so I asked my wife about it. I'm like, who the heck is this person? And why are they getting, this amount of money pretty frequently from us? She goes, oh, that's this service that we have.
That's my foot massager.
That's how they take their, it's not that. That's how they take their revenue. That's how they get paid, is through Venmo. I wasn't paying attention to that, but this was a solid $3,500.
Yeah.
That if it would have been fraud, would have gone unnoticed for the whole year. They limit, credit cards and banks, their liability is limited past your statement. You know what I mean? Like if you get a statement and you don't say, hey, hold on a second, this statement's not right. There's some stuff on this statement that's wrong. Once you get a statement or two behind, they're like, well, listen, you can't claim fraud 2 years ago. You should have caught it by now. So you do have to have a system for that, whether it's Monarch. I love Monarch, having that all in my face every day where you can like download that stuff, or it shows up, you do a little, see the transaction history, or your weekly meeting, which you do electronically also.
Yeah, you definitely have to have a system because all that convenience OG can really hamper your ability to spot this stuff.
I'll give another little thing here for keeping it in front of you. What you focus on and what you measure gets improved. We're all at the beginning of the year, and it's just fun to talk about health and wellness and that sort of thing at the beginning of the year. There's a lot of stackers that are like, oh, this is the year I'm going to get in shape, or this is the year I'm going to work out, or this is the year I'm going to watch my calories. The thing that you're focusing on right now is probably having a result, right? If you're 20, 30 days into the year, you've been watching your calorie intake, or you've been getting your 10,000 steps, or you've gone to the gym 5 times a week, you're starting to see that momentum. What you're measuring is producing success. And the same thing is true with your money. It's great to put it on autopilot. I'm a big fan of autopilot, your 401k and your balancing and all that sort of stuff. But if you want to control your cash flow, put it in your face every day. There is nothing more eye-opening than every day opening that app and going, God dang, do we spend a lot of money on Amazon?
Yeah.
And sometimes just that awareness, just that like, it's in my face, I'm seeing this, it's top of mind, will make you just take half a step back.
Absolutely.
I don't need to go out to dinner 4 times a week. Like, holy crap, what am I doing? Maybe it's only twice a week, and you just get a little bit more control over it. And it's not a life sentence, right? It's not like a new thing you do for the rest of your life, just like going to the gym or eating healthy. You just have to build that muscle to the point where you're like, oh, now I'm just a guy who goes to the gym 3 times a week, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Those are my people. And so once you get used to it, once you get, you get a rhythm like you and Cheryl have, kind of keeping it front and center. So there's a lot of positive strategic byproducts of that.
I've been reading choreographer Twyla Tharp's book on creativity. She talks about how all of us can be more creative. It is a muscle, OG, to your point, that you work and you actually have to get yourself to the thing. So she has all these exercises, but she talks about developing that muscle to your point. And she said every day she lives in Manhattan. So every day at 5 a.m., she has the same taxi that picks her up to take her to the gym. And she's somebody that was a high performing dancer, high performing choreographer. And she's like, and then I go work out. And now let me tell you what my system is of my success. I have the taxi there at 5 a.m. And she goes, and you thought I was going to tell you all about the cool workout I did, whatever. She goes, nope. If that taxi is there at 5 a.m., I know the taxi driver's waiting for me and I'm going to get in the taxi. And then guess what happens? I work out.
Yeah. Once you get to the gym, once you put your shoes on, I can tell you, we have a home gym system at our house, and the amount of time that I will sit in that room, like literally on the bench, just staring at it, like, okay, I think I can probably do it. I can probably do it.
Yeah.
The hard part is not doing the activity. It's getting my ass to sit on the bench next to the thing. Like it's the 80 steps it is between my office and that room where it's like, that is the hardest way.
I did a 30-minute bike workout at the gym the other day, and I start bicycling and I wanted nothing to do with it. And I'm like, okay, I just got to start pedaling. And I'm like, I'm just going to pedal slow today. I'm just going to put one, just pedal slow. Dude, before I know it, I'm 10 minutes in and I'm rocking, but I had to just start pedaling to even get in the mood. Can you
picture Joe doing like the full body cycling workout?
It's great. Yes. It's a beautiful thing. Other things they say in this piece, check the status of your property deed. If possible, where you live, set up notifications at the registry to alert you to any changes. So check with where your deed is registered. Next, monitor your credit report for signs of identity theft. Cheryl handles this in our family. I take a look at it once a year. She handles it, though, on a regular basis because she really...
On the credit report thing, every credit card you have has some sort of credit monitoring, free FICO-esque thing, right? The least you can do is to opt into that. So at least you're notified when you get credit pulls and that sort of thing. If you don't have your credit report frozen, all three of them, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, take the 10 minutes.
This is my very next point.
Literally takes 10 minutes to log in. Like you just type in Equifax credit freeze, Experian credit freeze, TransUnion credit freeze. You need an account. So you have to create an account if you don't have one. It's literally a button.
Yeah.
Click it.
It's almost like a little slider.
A little slider. Freeze,
off, on,
unfreeze.
off, on.
Yeah. And so for people who are like, well, hold on, doesn't that affect your ability to get credit? Absolutely it does. It 100% affects your ability to get credit. It affects everyone's ability to get credit in your name.
Yeah, to get your credit.
Yeah, because it's your credit. But here's what happens. And I know this because I'm a points slut. Is that okay? I don't know.
Wow. Whoa, that escalated quickly.
Holy cow.
Points. What's better than a slut?
Maven?
Nerd.
Right.
Nerd.
Points nerd.
I mean, for some people, that is better. Some people are into that.
And what happens is you'll get an email from Chase that says, hey, we tried to help you apply for this credit, but your credit report's frozen. Unfreeze it, then contact us at this number. You can literally turn it off for a period of time. You can say, unfreeze it for 10 days. So you can go get your credit report. You can go get your car loan. You can go get your new credit card. You can do whatever you want. And then it automatically freezes again. And you have to do this for everybody in your family. Everybody. Just do it. Do it for your kids. Do it for your mom and dad. They don't know how to do it.
It's so easy.
It's the easiest thing in the universe. Police will tell you that most crime is crime of opportunity. Criminals are not looking to smash windows to get packages. They're looking for open doors, right? If the door is unlocked, it's like, oh, I can just open this door and look in here real quick. I don't make a scene. Now, obviously digital theft is a little different, but they're still looking for open doors. If there's a hurdle, it's like, get OG's credit. It's a pain in the ass. I'll go for Doug.
If my password is password,
yeah,
I'm asking for it.
I mean, that's a real freaky, scary thing now. There's a website called howsecureismypassword.net, maybe? Not sure. You can type in your password. I don't think that's a great idea, but you can type in a password to get an idea of how long it will take an average supercomputer to break your password.
Howsecureismypassword.net is the site.
So type in a password, Joe, type in password, and it tells you how long it will take. So your password is password.
Yeah, OG, they moved it. It's now at security.org.
Okay.
So you go to security.org, you put in a password. Let's put in the password. Password
123.
So I put in password. Your password would be cracked instantly. It says.
All right. Now add 4 digits and an exclamation point.
I'll just go 1, 2, 3. Whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Password. Exclamation point. It would take 12,000 years.
Yeah. And probably not for that one in particular, because that's a sequential, logical one. If you just typed in 12 random characters, uppercase, lowercase, commas, parentheses, the whole deal, like you can get with a service like iPhone, or, Google has that Pixel or LastPass, you can buy it.
Yeah, I use Dashlane.
It's going to take years and years and years to do that. That's not a low-hanging fruit. My concern is these supercomputers that they just broke this quantum computing record. Some people way, way, way smarter than me can explain any of this, but apparently it was some computer threshold that no one thought could ever be broken, and they broke it. And I just wonder how that's going to affect this type of stuff.
Absolutely.
But you got to use Face ID. You got to use your 6-digit code for your phone. Like all the 2-factor authentication, that is a giant pain in the butt. You have to implement on anything that's secure.
We will dive into this even more in our newsletter, The 201. This week will be about theft, identity theft, property theft, fraud in general. StackingBenjamins.com/201 gets you onto the mailing list. So the ferrets that spin the wheel that make this newsletter go, deliver it right to your inbox, hot and fresh every Tuesday. Coming up next, we've got a great TikTok minute about maybe the reason why you're not as rich as you think you are. We're also going to answer a call from a stacker. But Doug, let's dive in.
Hey there, stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and today is an amazing day in history because for the first time, Back in 1930, a guy working at Continental Baking Company dreamed up a dessert that looks like it's sort of a, look, I don't know how else to put this. It's a golden tube full of cream. What is that modern miracle called, you ask? Of course, it's a Twinkie, and squeezing it just for fun is frowned upon. I did that once, and I've been told I'm not allowed back in that Buc-ee's ever again. Tons of tales have been told about the Twinkie, about how they have no natural ingredients and have a shelf life of infinity, and also that they begin as tiny, cute little Twinkies, and through some secret nuclear fission process grow to be the full-size goodness you see in stores. None of these or other legends are true, but what is true is this. Twinkies are a delicious money-making machine, and here's today's trivia question. They're a money-making machine for what company? I'll be back with the answer right after I go find out what Twinkies are really made of. I'm sure no matter what, they're gonna fit right into my caveman diet. Hey there, stackers. I'm cellophane-wrapped dessert lover and health food enthusiast, Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Today is the birthday of that delightful cream-filled tube you just can't get enough of, the ultimate bargaining chip in every middle school lunchroom negotiation, and the first item you see in the gas station when you run in to use the bathroom. Yes, I'm talking about the Twinkie. And while you're all like, I wouldn't touch one of those with a 10-foot pole, I know you're all scarfing them down in the dark after the kids go to bed because over 500 million of them are consumed every year. But today's question was this: what company is the parent of this much maligned dessert? The answer? It's Hostess. But don't worry, stackers, because if you said Smuckers, that answer is also correct, because back in 2023, Smuckers agreed to purchase Hostess and is now the parent company of that Twinkie-making machine. And now, here come the truck stop cupcakes at the controls of this podcast, Joe and OG.
Doug.
Playing under protest.
It's disgusting.
Isn't that a thing in baseball?
It's horrible. Can't believe you do a trivia like that, Doug. Hey, time for us to transition to something better, which is our TikTok Minute. This is the part of this. When have we ever described the TikTok Minute as better?
Better than the trivia.
This is the, why am I calling you?
I don't know. You've been calling me for that whole trivia. My phone was ringing the whole time.
No idea.
Did something move in your pocket during that segment show that dialed your phone?
Okay, boomer.
Pocket dial?
I was going to say, when was the last time you guys pocket dialed somebody? But apparently Joe does it all the time.
Literally just now.
The other person who does it to me are my in-laws and my mom.
Yeah, no idea. Anyway, let's go to the TikTok Minute. This is the part of the show where we shine a light on a TikTok creator who is sharing some money goodness. And comedian Jeff Sheen, guys, I think he's picked the lock on, the difference between those of us that who don't have a lot of money and those rich people around us.
Every door slams in a poor person's house. Every door. Even the kitchen cabinet doors slam. Like, we didn't have those rich people kitchen cabinets that look like they're going to slam, but then they stop at the last second. And then softly close to protect your fucking rich people ears. Not us, just poor, loud doors every day. That's what keeps us poor, I think, is the loud slamming doors. Every time you get a good money-making idea, a door would slam and knock it out of you. I remember I had a friend, his mom's minivan was so shitty, he couldn't slide the door shut on the minivan, so we'd all have to get in, and then she would floor it, and then slam on the brakes to use the momentum to slam the door shut. We needed science to close our doors. I'm telling you, man, life, it's all doors. It's just quality of doors. The richer you get, they get quieter and quieter until eventually you get a door man, right? You get a whole fucking man who's your doors for you. And he has his own doors, right? He's a poor doorman. They probably slam. So every day, just slamming doors. Maybe one day he snaps, murders the rich guy. They send him to prison, the slammer. It's all...
The slammer. Jeff Sheen and doors. When did you realize, what age? Like, as I listened to him, I remember, by the way, I had a minivan like that. that was so bad, so rusted out that getting that door to shut was so hard. I would do that. I would drive fast down the street, slam on the brake, and the thing would finally unjam and would come crashing shut.
We had the opposite problem with our minivan. You couldn't pull it shut. Like something went wrong with it after it got older and started to rust. And it wasn't the rust that was doing it, but you couldn't just go into manual mode. So you had to press the button and wait like 4 minutes for it to shut itself.
I remember the first time I got one of those tailgate doors, by the way, where, I went to slam it because being a dude that didn't have money, and somebody was like, whoa, hold on, man. You're going to kill the motor. I'm like, what motor? And they press the little button and the thing slowly goes down. But how old were you when you realized that some of your friends were richer than you, OG? And what exactly was it that kind of tipped you off?
They had dinner that night.
My car has soft closed doors. Doesn't your guys's?
But did it have that when you were growing up?
No, my dad's a truck driver.
Yeah.
A farmer.
No, man, that was us.
I mean, we were all in the same school. There might have been some, the wealthy people in my circle when I was the wealthy parents. That's not even fair to say. The more well-to-do, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
more comfortable.
Ones who appeared to have it together were all the factory workers at GM.
Yeah.
If you were 25-year factory worker at GM, you were working 7 to 2. You had the cherry shift. You were a supervisor of some kind, making $30 an hour or whatever it was. You had
a nice pension.
Yeah, great pension.
Be coming. Yep,
that was the thing.
I thought my friend Jimmy was rich because they had a house that had maybe 12 rooms, and they only lived in like 4 or 5 of the rooms, and the rest they left sealed off. And I remember just thinking Jimmy was so rich because they had this huge house and didn't use the entire house. Like, who has a house that's that big and you don't use most of the house? And then now, like later on, I was so many years older when I'm like, that may have not been the status symbol I thought it was. It could have been a house in the family. Like, I have no idea. I just remember thinking, man, my friend Jimmy, he is loaded. This guy, it's so amazing. But no soft closing doors at Jimmy's house. Didn't have that.
No.
What about?
Yeah.
I had a friend in high school, I remember.
Soft closed drawers are cool too.
Oh, those are cool. I had a friend in high school that we went over to her house. She invited a bunch of us over for dinner, and we go to her house, and her house had a name, and they had a chef. And that was the first time I was like, this is some serious money these people have. Probably every door was a soft closed door.
I mean, if you have a chef, of course,
yeah.
It's another person, like they said.
You have doorman. You got a chef person. And then I remember also having friends on the other side of the spectrum. Like, I remember going out to McDonald's with my family with a friend who I didn't realize how poor their family was until he's like, oh, we don't get to do this. We never go out. We never go out to eat. I'm like, it's McDonald's. We're not even really going out to eat. Oh, this is great. This is absolutely fantastic.
I mean, we never went out to eat when I was a kid. Never, ever, ever. Pizza once a month, maybe. From B&C's Pizza. You guys do? Is that still a thing?
And you go to B&C's.
We have BC pizza. It's all over northern Michigan, but
we call it B&C's. Is it round, but they cut it in squares?
No.
I bet it's the same.
That's stupid, by the way. That is a ridiculous way to cut a pizza.
It's like a gigantic pizza.
I don't care because you end up with 14 pieces in the middle with no crust. That is the stupidest way. I am pissed at the thought of cutting a round pizza into squares.
Doug's like, you only go out to eat once a month and you waste it on that.
Yes.
You waste it on square round pizza.
Square pizza is fantastic. But there's still those 4 pieces in the middle that are questionable because they don't. But at least you got the thick crust on the bottom of those. Round pizza cut into squares. Why'd you get me started?
Now I'm gonna go back to Bay City, Michigan, and I'm gonna go find that pizza place and see if it's still around. Order me a za and take it up to Doug's house. Be like, what say you now, sir?
I think that's a Baltimore thing or a Pittsburgh thing, like that notion of screwing up the geometry of a pizza.
Yeah, because then you end up on the edge. You end up with like a really teeny tiny.
You're going to get a couple of little. Yeah, it just.
Yeah, so you get like all crust and nothing.
Yeah. God, it just.
But sometimes the memory of these places is what totally makes the place.
Have you guys ever had that where you have a memory of something being really awesome?
Yes.
And then as an adult, you go back and you go, oh.
Just happened. Went to visit Cheryl's uncle over Thanksgiving. And we were back in East Lansing,
and
Michigan.
You were in East Lansing, and you were like,
As soon as you crossed into the city
as soon
limits.
as you got into the general area, you're like, oh, this is gross.
I asked for that.
Was this smell always here?
I had to keep talking. I
No.
shouldn't have paused.
Now I know why they call it Moo You.
Why did we put... No. Well, that's another joke that I will not share.
It's a different reason.
Not about East Lansing. So we're sitting with Cheryl's uncle, and Cheryl's like, you know where I haven't been since we went to college? Harrison Roadhouse. Like, this would be great. Let's go back to Harrison Roadhouse.
Hit it. Yeah.
I remember people would take their parents there. Like, I remember my parents would come visit, and we'd go to Harrison Roadhouse. Man, Cheryl's uncle and she and I walking into Harrison Roadhouse. That place just reeked of old beer. Like, just for the last...
It's like a 60-year-old frat house.
It totally was. Like, every day for the past 60 years, people have been spilling beer at Harrison Roadhouse all over the place late at night. And I remember just the whole time I'm in there, I'm like, oh God. And then the stuff they brought me, it was just greasy crap.
We did that in Ann Arbor. We went to Pizza House, which was always a favorite in Ann Arbor. And it delivered again. I was like, okay, I remember this place being good. And let's see how the chicken ranch sandwich is. And it was as good as I remember, but there's been other places that not quite the same.
Yeah. I remember we would always get Bell's Pizza at 2 a.m., right? The bar closes, you go get Bell's Pizza. And I remember one time, even as a college student, I went to Bell's Pizza in the middle of the day and I get this thing and I'm like, I actually ate this. But at 2 a.m., you're like, oh my God, that's great. That's fantastic. You get it at 2 in the afternoon and there's just this layer of grease and that regret. You can see shimmering on the top. Oh,
no offense
horrible.
To the fine folks at Harrison's Roadhouse or Bell's Pizza, accepting reservations now in your favorite app.
So many fun. But to your point, I should have left the memory alone. Because I did remember Harrison Roadhouse.
Did that with a travel location too. We went on vacation one time to a repeat place that we went when we were kids. We're like, this is awesome. We went there. We're like, this is not awesome.
Just was not the same.
Yeah.
I had the opposite experience. We went to Baraboo, Wisconsin. I remember that place being just weird and fun. I was trying to talk my family into it. I'm like, no, it's the Circus Museum in Baraboo, Wisconsin. And the signs even faded along the highway. It totally looks like a roadside scam. And you go there and it was every bit as good, OG, as I remembered it.
Yeah.
Every bit as good. That place was so cool. If you ever get a chance to go to the Circus Museum in Baraboo, Wisconsin. Stacker Allen lives there, by the way, who does credit card points. He was on the show after he outed himself one time. I was talking lovingly about Baraboo. All right. How do we get on that topic?
Wow.
We're like, wow.
From TikTok, soft closed doors, loud
soft
doors,
closed doors.
To how poor were you growing up?
Into memory land.
Stupid pizza cutting.
Hey, let's help a stacker in need. A stacker who said, you know what, I better call Saul-Sehy and OG. This is the part of the show where if you need help, you go to stackingbenjamins.com/voicemail and you can be as cool as Anna is, who called us with this question. Hey, Anna.
Hi, guys. I have a question regarding dual residency with different states. I currently own my home in Minnesota, and my parents will be coming back to it when they snowbird. So I also have a vehicle that is connected to this place, but I am moving to Maryland for work, where I'll also have a vehicle there and be renting there and be there most of the time. So I'm wondering about the implications with taxes and anything else that I should be aware of. If you guys can help point me in the right direction or send me to a real professional, I'd appreciate it.
Burn.
Thanks.
Ouch.
Well,
why was that necessary? That little whip crack right at the end.
That wasn't. No, she's not saying we're not professional. She's saying people that deal with tax. Is there somebody that she should go to who is just a tax pro? OG, what do you think about in a situation here?
Well, it's pretty clear that you are a resident of where you're a resident. So if she's living in Maryland and has a driver's license in Maryland and is working in Maryland, then you're a resident in Maryland. That's pretty straightforward. Your Maryland income, it's not going to be reported in Minnesota, and, you'll file a Maryland tax return. Now, however, if you have income in a different state, then you have to file a tax return in that state for that amount of income. And a great example of this is you think about all the professional athletes. The basketball player from Minnesota goes and plays the team in DC or plays the team in New York. That portion of their income, that portion of that game check is attributable to working in New York or working in Phoenix or working in wherever. And those people, professional athletes in particular, they file taxes across the entire country,
Yeah.
and some of them across the entire world. You know, you go work, you know, you have a NBA team in Canada.
Yeah, they don't. They have people that do it for them.
You know what I mean? They're signing tax returns. But so as long as there's no income in Minnesota, then you're fine. And really the litmus test, not litmus test here, but the number is the 180 days. It's where do you spend more than half the year? Even if you move throughout the year, let's say that new job in Maryland doesn't start until May, you're going to file 2 tax returns this year, one for the time that you lived and worked in Minnesota and earned income there, and one for the time that you lived and worked in Maryland. And your CPA, or if you do it on your own and on TurboTax or something like that, will actually ask you, where did you live and work? And what days did you move? And you'll say, well, I lived in Minnesota from this day to this day. I lived in, Maryland from this day to this day. And then that gets apportioned appropriately with that. So there's no complexity to having property in different states or that sort of thing. If you end up with income in different states, so let's say, for example, that you keep your home and you Airbnb it. Now you have income in Minnesota. And so Minnesota is going to want their cut. You'll also have to claim that income in Maryland, but then your CPA will offset it for the fact that you have already claimed it in Minnesota. So little complexity. Any CPA, I mean, not probably any of them, but 90% of them should be able to work through this pretty quickly. Enrolled agents are another good example. Probably DIY this on TurboTax. If you can follow the prompts pretty well, I'm sure they'll walk you through that as well. But if you want an extra layer of protection, get a CPA in Maryland and they'll be able to walk you through it. But big bag of nothing. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
OG, is it worth looking into how homesteading in either, because I think both Minnesota and Maryland are homestead states. Does that have any impact on any of this?
Well, she said she was going to rent in Maryland. So,
oh, did she? I missed that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Now you're not talking about income taxes. You're talking about property taxes as it relates to, that's a secondary effect of moving and owning property in a different place is, the powers that be in Minnesota could realize that you are no longer a resident of Minnesota. And therefore, if your state has higher tax rates for non-residents,
right,
which a lot of them do, you could end up with a little bit higher property tax bill, but that's not an income tax issue. That's a property tax issue.
Maybe I didn't listen closely enough. I'm still reeling from what Joe put me through in the trivia, but I thought she was just looking in general, different financial things she should be concerned about or thinking about as she, starts to have dual residency. But I mean, that's one of them. Even if she's renting, if she's spending over 6 months of her time in Maryland, the homestead thing in Minnesota could come into play, couldn't it?
From a property tax standpoint.
Yeah.
But there is no such thing as dual residency. You're a resident where you're a resident.
Right. So it's wherever you're spend 6 months in a day, right? That's where you're a resident.
Yes. I would also argue that if you moved on July 5th, but your new home is Maryland because that's where your job is and that's your residency. Oh. From an income tax standpoint, it will be prorated because you'll have income in Minnesota. Even if it's the same company, they're going to pay you differently too. They run it through the Maryland side of the equation and not the Minnesota side of the equation. Yep. So, it's just important to keep good records on this. It's just important to, make sure if it is the same company, they know you're moving, make sure that they get your new address because you want to make sure you're withholding, your state income taxes in the right area if your state has state income taxes. And there's undoubtedly going to be some downstream effects. Property taxes issues is an example as well. So nothing overly complicated though.
Thanks for the question, Anna.
Or just call and ask a real professional, Anna. Whatever. You do you.
That guy spinning the sign out in front of the H&R Block tax thing on the sidewalk.
Yeah, and the little blow-up arms.
Yeah.
The guy that's doing this.
With the wavy arms, yeah. Or dressed like the Statue of Liberty.
Go get a real pro like one of those guys.
Oh.
She chose violence, not me.
Yeah, that's an assassin.
I don't think she did. I think you interpreted it that way, but hey, Anna, thanks for calling.
Wow. I hope you feel mighty proud of yourself, young lady.
Anna, I'm sending you a shirt. Just have to put up with all that from these guys. stackingbenjamins.com/voicemail. Hopefully we can help you avoid some taxes as well. That, I think, covers it for today. Doug, we got anything on the back porch today?
Well, we can remind everybody about the single best meetup of the year.
No, I heard it's heavenly.
It is going to be heavenly. That's right. OG and I and the Fin Turn will be at McPee's Tap Room in South Lake Tahoe Wednesday night, the 19th of February from 6 until when OG's credit card gets maxed out.
Which is exactly at 8 o'clock. Also the same time I have to go to bed, oddly enough.
But no, because that's going to be on.
I run on Central Time all the time. So 8 Pacific is 10 Central. Turn into a pumpkin. I'm out.
Oh, God. This is going to be fun. Somebody please come to provide the fun that OG will be sucking the life out of from this trip.
StackingBenjamins.com/meetup to meet up with Doug. And if you get there early, it'll be before OG's bedtime and you might see him too, which would be great.
Maybe.
Doug, take it from here, man. What should we have learned on today's potpourri of money advice and Twinkies and doors? And
do I have to do this? Because I don't know what's coming on this either.
We had no idea.
Hanging me out to dry again?
You wrote this. Go.
Okay, here we go. Well, Joe, here's what we should have learned on today's episode. First, take some advice from our headline. How do you stop a scam? Scan your utility bills from time to time, freeze your credit, and stay alert. By establishing a few good, healthy money systems, crooks are far less likely to find you as their next victim. Second, how are the doors in your house? Maybe having better doors is the true key to having more money. It's a theory. Could be a bad one. But the big lesson, don't ask Joe's mom about getting better doors. She'll show you the door in a hurry. And by show you, I don't mean, never mind. This show is the property of SB Podcasts, LLC, copyright 2025, and is created by Joe Saul-Sehy. Joe gets help from a few of our neighborhood friends. You'll find out about our awesome team at stackingbenjamins.com, along with the show notes and how you can find us on YouTube and all the usual social media spots. Come say hello. Oh yeah, and before I go, not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamins Show. But the big lesson, don't ask Joe's mom about getting better doors. She'll show you the door in a hurry. And by show you, I don't mean, never mind.
She'll show you the door in a hurry. She'll show you the door.
Yeah, I got it the first time, Joe.
No, dude. You read it wrong.
I don't think so. She'll show you the door in a hurry.
Yeah, that emphasis was much better the second time.
That's exactly the way I said it the first time.
It was not the way you said it the first time. Do the big lesson one more time.
I hope we're keeping this all in, by the way.
No, we're not keeping this in.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Steve, I'll do it right for the second time. But the big lesson, don't ask Joe's mom about getting better doors. She'll show you the door in a hurry. And by show you, I don't mean, never mind.
She'll show you the door in a hurry.
You want me to do it a third time?
I just capitalized it.
I see that. You want me to do it again?
Clearly he does.
Unbelievable. I'm going to this up on purpose. 3, 2, 1. But the big lesson, don't ask Joe's mom. I can't do it. I swear to God, you're just messing with me. This is ridiculous.
Steve, that's our after show.